Hey guys, welcome back to Games of War. Today's episode is dedicated to and is all about 2D gaming and one company that I think stands head and shoulders above the rest in terms of art design, art direction, animation, and such. Now, 2D gaming was once the industry standard. We all know back in the 8-bit, 16-bit era, 2D games was it. There was small ventures into territory like Star Fox and Sylphied on the Sega CD, Stunt Race effects, but for the most part, 2D gaming was all we knew. That totally changed when the PlayStation and Saturn 64 eventually followed suit. 3D gaming was upon us, and 2D games all of a sudden just did not appeal to people. It wasn't cool anymore. It was a thing of the past. If you didn't play the 3D games that were all the rage, you were kind of sucked. And to me, I was the odd man out. Everybody was playing Twisted Metal and all these new 3D fighters like Battle Arena Toshinden, Virtua Fighter. To me, when I got my Sega Saturn and played Astal, I thought that should have been the future, man. Astal was such a beautiful game. It looked so good, and these early 3D platformers had horrible camera controls, and everything was just full of pop-in, and it just the textures were awful. Everything looked really ugly to me. I know I'm in the minority, and I definitely appreciate early 3D games now looking back. I mean, it had to start somewhere, and I understand that. But this video is a celebration of a company that I think does just outstanding work, some of the best artwork around, and that is VANILLAWARE. Now, VANILLAWARE is one of those companies where their art style is so distinct, you know by taking one look at a screenshot that VANILLAWARE is behind the helm of this game. And after playing Odin Sphere, which is the first game that I played that was done by VANILLAWARE, I immediately knew, as soon as I saw Grim Grimoire in magazines, I knew that was a VANILLAWARE game. I knew Muramasa was, I knew Dragon's Crown. I mean, they have such a professional, gorgeous art style that you just simply can't mistake it for anything else. Now, Odin Sphere was one of those games that back on the PS2 was getting hyped pretty well, and I bought the game purely based on the visual look alone. Thankfully, the gameplay was able to match the beautiful visuals. Now, it is an action RPG, and the game had me at the very beginning because it had an opening kind of like Shining Force in terms of a young girl in the attic grabs a book and jumps up into a chair and wants to share a story with you. I'm such a sucker for openings like that. Now, this game contains 5 chapters in this book, and each chapter is a different playable character. Each of these characters have stories that kind of intertwine into an overall arcing plot, and it's told fantastically. It's not one of those games that's super confusing and hard to understand. Each character is very likable, very personable. You get to know them very well on your adventure, and you really feel for them. I remember playing this. The first character was Gwendolyn. Now, it's been some years since I played the game. I did finish it. Gwendolyn was the daughter of the demon lord Odin, I believe his name was. And the game, Odin Sphere, has definitely lived up to his name because the levels take place on spheres, and you go from right or left, and it's continually going in a circle. It sounds confusing, but it works very well. You hardly even notice it. The game has a definite fantasy Norse mythology type vibe to it. Playing as Gwendolyn right away, you notice just how gorgeous this game looks in motion. On PS2, it was just in a class of its own at the time. This was before Xbox Live and PSN, where 2D games have kind of made a little bit of a comeback. Playing as Gwendolyn, I think the other names were Cornelius, he's the Puka Prince. There was Oswald, the kind of dark swordsman. There was Velvet, and Mercedes. Now, they all wield weapons called ciphers, and these are made up of the Phozon crystals. And these crystals power up your weapon. You're able to level it up. You're able to gain more powerful as the game goes on. And you're fighting enemies in a hack and slash style 2D battle system. And there's much more to the battle system than just fighting. You can also do a lot of alchemy, but the alchemy is not confusing and hard to understand. You can craft items by collecting materials. You combine materials with other items to create like healing items or different potions. You're going to need these healing items, or you're going to need defensive potions or invincibility potions, because this game can get brutally difficult. There's some slowdown problems, but that isn't enough to hinder the game. I mean, it definitely takes its toll, but it's just a fantastic game. In addition to the combat alchemy, you can also plant seeds. They will grow trees. You can get items off there. Leave them too long, the fruit will rot and won't be as powerful or potent. Each of the characters, Gwendolyn, she is the daughter of the Lord Odin. He's like a demon lord, like the bad guy in the game. Such an impressive looking character. There is Puka Prince. His name is Cornelius, and he was in love with one of the characters in the game that you play as, Velvet. This was a forbidden love. It was discovered, and he was turned into the Puka, which is like a kind of animal rabbit type character that are kind of banished in the game. Mercedes, one of the playable characters, her mother was killed by Odin, which is Gwendolyn's father, so she's seeking revenge, and she's a member of the Fairyland. And Gwendolyn is in love with Oswald, who's another playable character in the game. Her father obviously wants nothing to do with that relationship, so it's kind of a love tale mixed with like a nation at war. It's all very intriguing stuff, and the gameplay is just superb. Odin Sphere was one of my favorite action RPGs on the PS2. It's amazing to go from character to character and watch the story unfold. The graphics are gorgeous, the music is great, voice acting is top notch, it's all voiced brilliantly. The game will hook you in, it's very difficult, it'll last you about 20-25 hours. If you're looking for a solid RPG in the PS2, look no further than Odin Sphere. The next game from VANILLAWARE was released just a few short months after Odin Sphere. And this game was a complete difference, complete change of pace from the action RPG. This was a real-time strategy game that focused on the story of Lilith Blonde attending this magic school. Now your first 4 days at this academy, you're being introduced to some of the instructors, a lot of the students. Everything is once again voice acted professionally. It tells a tale very intriguing, very interesting, very easy to understand. The characters are all drawn very well. They all have a lot of personality, and Lilith Blonde is a pretty cool character. I kind of got a Harry Potter type of vibe from the characters and story, you know, being a magic school and all. However, the game is turned upside down on the 4th day. The 5th day you wake up and the entire school is dead, yourself included. You have a nightmare, you're freaking out, all of a sudden you are transported 4 days back into the past to kind of relive this day and fix, you know, find these dark secrets, find out what's wrong, find out what shady characters are doing what, and kind of fix this nightmare from really happening. And this is where the game takes on kind of like a Groundhog Day, if you've ever seen the movie, type feel, where you're going back in time and you're righting the wrongs by unraveling this mystery story and piecing together what happened and unlocking this school's dark secrets. Just a really cool storyline, and the gameplay really hooked me in this one. Being a real-time strategy, Lilith Blonde is represented by a cursor on screen. You're able to direct your troops and attack in real time, and you have different factions. Now you've got like a rock, paper, scissors system in play. You've got glamour factions, which is like all the fantasy creatures, unicorns, elves, fairies. You've also got your necromancy, which is all your undead units. You've got your sorcery, which is all your demonic units. And you've got your alchemy, which is all like fierce long range attacks. And you can level all of these factions up, they grow more powerful. You move along the map, uncovering new areas as you explore this map. Everything is done in real time, so you're constantly switching on the fly, you're attacking on the fly, you're watching your commands carry out in real time. A really addicting type of gameplay style that you don't see a lot on consoles, and you don't see it done very well. Grim Grimoire is an exception to this rule. Strategy fans are going to be right at home with this. It is very enjoyable. I really, had a blast micromanaging my party, making sure that the situation was right for the characters, leveling my properties up. It was just awesome seeing the story unfold through these big cutscenes, all static, 2D, beautifully voice acted. This is an awesome real-time strategy game. If you're looking for something a little different on consoles, definitely check it out. It was a hell of a ride. Years later, we'd see the release of Muramasa, originally on the Wii. For whatever reason, I played the game. I just couldn't get into the controls. I had the nunchuck and the pointer, and for some reason I couldn't get into it. I know you can use other controllers and there's different control schemes, but I tried it with the Wiimote and nunchuck and I just couldn't get into it. I picked it up, the re-release here. This is a collector's edition on the Vita. Very close to HD resolutions. The game looks considerably better on the Vita. Looks amazing on the Vita. This thing in motion is just, it pops off the screen, especially if you got that OLED screen. Man, it's one stunning looking 2D game. This returns to the roots of the action RPG. It's got a map system, kind of like Metroid or Castlevania, where you can unlock areas when you get better swords. To unlock that area, you come back with the sword, you unlock the area, and it kind of unfolds in that kind of fashion. Levels are pretty visually diverse. You've got waterfalls and water cascading down them. You've got beautiful dandelions flowing in the wind. You've got the beautiful mountainside villages. You've got breathtaking skies. I mean, this game is just gorgeous to look at. Gameplay has an excellent battle system. You've got awesome combos. You can juggle enemies. You can hold the attack button down and use the analog stick to dash in directions, chain together awesome combos. The enemies fill the screen. You kill the enemies, clear the screen, move on to the next. You've got different things to upgrade. You've got all different kinds of healing potions. With the excellent special attacks that each sword has, you can do all kinds of damage. Just awesome to explore these breathtaking environments. A pretty standard action RPG, very light on the RPG elements. Your character does level up and you do learn new things, but it's not quite as hardcore as Odin Sphere, but it's very enjoyable. More in line with an action game, to be honest with you. But it's got that Vanillaware charm and feel. I definitely recommend the Vita version. I had a lot more fun with it. There's a lot of DLC for this, so there's some great new stuff to explore as well. You play as a ninja named Hisoke, I believe, and he has lost his memory. He has no idea what's going on. The storyline in this didn't pull me in as much. It's not English voice acting. It's all subtitled, so you've got to do a lot of reading. And I've always been a fan of English dub. I don't know, purists might cry foul, but I've always been able to connect with the characters more if there's an English dub, which unfortunately there's not. But you can also play as a girl too. Her name is Kisuke. I'm sorry, Mahome is the name of the ninja. That's a male. Hisuke is a woman who is possessed by a evil spirit, and you must find a way to free her. I couldn't really get into the storylines in this too much. It was the action that kept me going in Muramasa. But from what I did play, I did enjoy the story. It just wasn't able to pull me in as much as the other games in the series, unfortunately. But if you're looking for a great action game with some light RPG elements, definitely give Muramasa a try. And this brings us to the final game that they've released, and that's Dragon's Crown. Now this is kind of a return to the roots of an action RPG, more on the line of a dungeon crawler this time around though. You're able to venture into dungeons, this time for the first time in a Vanillaware game as a co-op experience. Tons of fun to grab a friend and go looting and pillaging into these dungeons, all handled in that same beautiful 2D artwork excellence. This game sees a return of the outstanding voice acting that really sets the mood and kind of pulls you into this old fantasy, high fantasy land. It's just a remarkable feat with the voice acting to pull you in like this. You meet wizards and you meet princes and princess swordsmen. There's people at the tavern. There is an old wizard that's going to teach you new spells. There's betrayal and intrigue. Just a fantasy game in its truest sense. The atmosphere in this game is just incredible. Gameplay is pretty straightforward for a dungeon crawler. You're going to be doing a lot of attacking en masse, tons of enemies on screen. You're going to be searching for the best weaponry. You're going to be searching for treasure. The gameplay is best experienced as a co-op player. I had a lot of fun playing this. It works very well on the Vita. There's also a game on the PS3. For co-op, probably the PS3 is the best way to go, but I still had a lot of fun. I believe it's cross-play, so there should be no problem there. One of the things I was impressed with Dragon's Crown was that we finally got an art book. If you pre-ordered the game, you got an art book, and this showcases the stunning visual style of the game, ranging from enemies to environments. This is some of the best art around, and it's finally been showcased. I have never owned an art book from Vanillaware. I'm sure you can get them, but this was a great opportunity to look at some of the artwork in the game, dating back to his time. George, I forget his last name, he was working on Princess Crown way back on the Saturn, which has got a very similar art style. You can see how his work has evolved over the years. Dragon's Crown is another excellent dungeon crawler, another great action RPG from Vanillaware, and a perfect cap off to end these run of stunning games. I can't wait to see what they have in store next for us. Vanillaware is definitely a 2D developer that does style, grace, and beautiful graphics, that's for sure. I hope you guys enjoyed taking a look at Vanillaware and their games. They truly make some of the best 2D games around. From their action RPGs to the real-time strategies to dungeon crawlers, they're at the top of the game. Thank you guys for watching. As always, Games of War is nothing without you.